20s, I've collected all 20 exclusive Aurora Fantasy Coords featured in the mobile game Aikatsu Photo on stage, and I put them all together for you. Enjoy! 20. Light Princess Summer. Light Princess Summer is an extremely cute swimsuit design. It has some of my favorite colors and is a style I really like. But as we will soon see, it's also an extremely simple design overall, and a bit disconnected from the main themes of Aurora Fantasy. I had to put it on the bottom for fairness, but I do genuinely love it. 19. Spring Garden. I don't like Spring Garden nearly as much. I find it to be awkwardly proportioned and have odd color blocking, but it's much more complex at least. The purple mini high-low skirt is the strangest part to me, followed by the unfinished looking socks and then the identical orange flowers in each piece. I'm not sure the mint green accents are helping either. 18. Tyrolean Ribbon Aries. If you see my other Photokatsu rankings, Tyrolean Ribbon Aries' placement might not surprise you. It's a premium rare evolution and pretty over-designed. The cluttered details and random pink color of the wings are the biggest red flag. The main structure of the dress isn't bad, but the long skirt pannier, creating the illusion of a ball gown dress, isn't a choice I like. Leaving the front of the skirt open creates a lot of distracting negative space. 17. Aurora Lace Bride. Wedding dresses also aren't too exciting to me, but Aurora Lace Bride is cute. The green and yellow accents are carried through the dress well, and the dominant white base color helps other white details blend in while adding necessary visual interest. Overall, I think the parts they accent with color do a good job of creating a strong visual hierarchy. 16. Fairy Tale Color Bridal. Fairy Tale Color Bridal is another wedding dress, and although it has a less sophisticated use of color, I do prefer this cut and silhouette. The ballet-inspired bodice has nice structure, and I like how it contrasts the exaggerated poofiness of the skirt. I would have liked the green floral accents on the bows to be at least pink or yellow, but they aren't terrible. 15. Fancy Margaret. Someone probably likes Fancy Margaret a lot more than I do. It's very cute, the cut and structure are classic for Aikatsu. The color palette puts me off though, especially the cool pink they've gone with. A warmer pink would have matched the green accents they used in the floral details, as well as made a more cohesive primary color scheme. The other details are fine though. 14. Light Pink Rose. There are some interesting details in Light Pink Rose, particularly the pleated flared sleeves. It's not a style I recognize from any other coord, and I do like the novelty. They pulled off nice balance on the skirt layers despite using so many different patterns and shapes, and the white accents do successfully pull your eye through the design. I'm also glad those brown boots are tied in by the brown shirt collar. 13. Fantasia. Fantasia is a cheerleading costume which I tend to like. Even with that bias, there are some points to criticize. The random brown and yellow bead chain at the waist is a big one. The athletic style and graphic prints of the top, gloves, and socks are also out of place for Aurora Fantasy. They've done their best to add flowers, ruffles, and lace on top of everything, but it is a bit messy. 12. North Flower. How do you feel about the big pouch at the waist of North Flower? If you squint, it's a huge focal point and a huge distraction to the eye, but there are attempts to balance it in the skirt trim and shoes. Overall, I think the design is cohesive and elegant with some interesting textural accents like fringe in the bodice. I really wonder why they included the pouch that way. They could have at least designed around it better. 11. Royal Flower. Royal Flower is up here for complexity points alone. It's another evolved coord, and I find it very annoying and noisy. I can appreciate the more experimental elements like the complex structure of the skirt as well as the textural layering in the bodice, but honestly this should have been edited down a lot more. There are so many different styles of graphics and rendering between all the different flower accents. It's chaos. 10. Garden Quintet. Garden Quintet is just a little less complex but has much better editing and balance. The colors have been carefully distributed throughout each piece, and I like the bolder details like the loose leather belt at the waist. The sparkly pink panel on the bodice is a step too far for me, but it's not hugely distracting. The Aurora Fantasy theming could be a bit stronger as well. 9. Primrose Tail. Primrose Tail is exactly what you'd expect from the brand. Pink and green palette, floral and lace motifs, ballet-inspired structure, and delicate details. For checking all the boxes, I've overlooked the fact that it's pretty simple and doesn't have much novelty to offer. I could have used just a little more asymmetry, maybe in some gold arm jewelry to match the other accents. 8. Rakepchen. Rakepchen is a much more novel design which makes it more interesting despite its more distracting quirks. The pastel yellow pannier on the skirt stands out too much for my taste, especially next to the more jewel-toned red and green sections. but the round skirt and leaf-like hemline of the layer above it are pretty cool. The cape is fun too, and I think it ends up being a pretty good direction to take a Red Riding Hood inspired coord in. 7. New Year Fantasy. New Year Fantasy shows off how great a match Aurora Fantasy is with traditional Japanese fashion. I really love how kimono prints have been merged with the expected floral prints from the brand, and the speckled patterns are particularly appealing. The color palette is flawless, and there's even little hints of asymmetry throughout the design. 6. Flower Wreath Bridal. Flower Wreath Bridal managed to get all the way up here for its elegant structure and charming floral details. Between the different flower appliques and the layers on the pannier, the visual rhythm of this dress feels particularly satisfying to me. I like the texture variation between the flower-covered bodice, flowy skirt draping, and fishnet tights. 5. Flora Snow Lace. I covered Flora Snow Lace in my Christmas coord ranking, but I think it holds up even outside of the holiday context. The longer A-line silhouette is pretty unique, and I still enjoy the balance of the tiered skirt layers. The focal point is the pink ribbon at the waist, with the pinecone accessory in the hat being a close second to pin the eye around the face and bodice. 4. Fancy Cheer. Cheerleading is back with Fancy Cheer, which is much more in line with Aurora Fantasy's aesthetic to me. There are still some athletic references, but they are more subtle here than they were in Fantasia. I think it's a very cute design with tons of details and a cohesive color palette. The touches of asymmetry are very welcome too. 3. Flower Valentine's Day. Flower Valentine's Day is a great example of how to integrate brown accents in these Valentine's coords. The chocolate color is lightened to be a lot closer to the value of the yellow accents, and it's used very sparingly throughout each piece. Beyond that attention to detail, I like the overall structure of this coord. The large flower appliques stand out a lot, as does the crisscross pattern of lacing in the corset and stockings. 2. Lilylight. I'm very curious about the structure of Lilylight. Is the giant flower framing piece attached to the dress? The illustration is a bit unclear, but either way I like its addition a lot. It balances the sheer, open front skirt layer nicely. The complexity in this design is all in the bodice, which is really pretty and balanced perfectly by the more sparsely detailed skirt. The layering of color, shape, and pattern feels very sophisticated here. 1. Royal Rakepchen. Royal Rakepchen is the evolved Red Riding Hood coord, and the larger shapes work really well. The corset structure is key to creating contrast in the design, and its color is balanced by the darkest skirt layer as well as the shoes. The mini cape flows well into the hood and creates good visual rhythm with the matching fabric in the skirt. Even the blue tint to the apron skirt matches the blue tint in the ruffles at the neckline. Excellent work. Let me know your favorite Aurora Fantasy coords in the comments below, and look out for my crew deep dive in a few weeks. Bye bye!
Oh my god! Bad news! It's a scandal!